The 2023 Leagues Cup group stages are in the books. Now in this video I'm going to react to my previous predictions and we're going to predict the knockout stages of the tournament as well. So if you only want to see my predictions for the knockout stages, I'm going to give you a rough timestamp on where to go to now. But if you'd like to humor me, let's go back and react to my predictions for the group stages. So I've got the final standings right here, and we're just going to go through them real quick. Now the best part about having 3 teams per group and 2 teams making it to the knockout stages, I get at least 1 team right every single time. So we're going to see how many of the 30 teams playing, how many are the 30 teams that make it to the knockout round. We're going to see how many I get right here. So we're going to go straight in to the West 1 group. Tigres obviously winning the group, Portland coming second, San Jose getting eliminated. I had San Jose making it and Portland not. Actually, I had San Jose winning the group. They didn't even score a goal. So great start for me there. Moving on to the West 2, Monterrey takes it, Salt Lake gets in third, and Seattle comes in last. Now in this one, I had Monterrey finishing second and Seattle winning the group. So again, not the best of predictions here to start. I just didn't think Salt Lake was going to put as much into this cup as they did. Obviously, they went for it massively, and they were able to beat Seattle pretty comfortably. Sure, they lost to Monterrey, but you know they wiped the floor with Seattle too. So not a disappointing loss per se. Moving on to West 3, you see Leon takes the group, Vancouver in second, and LA Galaxy in third. Now I had LA Galaxy and Vancouver flipped on this one. I knew Leon was going to top this group. I mean, they're the CONCACAF Champions League winners. They're just a very solid team right now, and I figured LA was going to push a little more for this competition, and they gave Vancouver a great run for their money. However, I believe it was a 93rd or 94th minute winner for Vancouver. It was 1-1, and Vancouver ends up getting the W. How about the penalty shootout between Leon and Vancouver as well? It was 16-15. Leon won that in the penalty shootout. The keepers almost went twice. That was something. Moving on to Central 1, we don't need to talk about that. So I had my beloved St. Louis City SC winning the group with Columbus coming in second. That was not the case at all. I was lucky enough to go to the Club America St. Louis City game, and they wiped the floor with us 4-0. It was just an absolute masterclass in how to play the beautiful game. I mean, they put that ball all around the pitch. We had nothing to do on that field, really. It was men against boys out there. It was pretty embarrassing. Columbus tops the group here. I believe America rotated their squad heavily in their game against Columbus. So, you know, disappointing to not see them win the group, especially how well they did against St. Louis. But, you know, not really too worried about that. If I were them, I think they're gonna do really well here in the knockout stages. Moving on to Central 2, we've got Chicago on top, Minnesota coming in second, and Puebla is going home early. Now, I actually had this right in that both teams would make it on. I just had the order flipped. I thought Minnesota was going to win this group. They didn't. They come second, Chicago first. So the first group where I've got both teams right, still not in the correct spot, but baby steps, right? We're taking it. Moving on to Central 3, we've got Cincinnati on top, Kansas City in second, and Chivas in third. Now, I'd like to argue that I just got the wrong Liga MX powerhouse to go home early, because Chivas, they laid an egg against Cincinnati, and they just could not find any offense for the Kansas City game that they played against just this last night. And I did not expect Kansas City to make it out of this group at all. Cincinnati's the best team in MLS right now, so I kind of figured they win the group. But this one, again, I only get 1 team right. So far, we're not doing too hot. But when we move on to Central 4, we see Toluca tops the group, Nashville gets second, Colorado is eliminated. Now, this is the first group where I've gotten both teams in the right spot. Moving on, so that's a solid 2 points for me there. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Toluca just looked like a solid team. They put 4 against Nashville in Nashville. I don't think that's happened for a long time, so that's very impressive by them. I think they're going to do fairly well in the knockouts as well, to be honest. Moving on to the South region, we have Mazatlan taking the top of this group, FC Juarez in second, Austin third. Mazatlan, big underdogs in this group. big surprise that they were able to win this group. Very, very good job by them. I had Juarez at the top of the group, Austin coming second, and Mazatlan getting third in my predictions earlier. So, proving me wrong yet again. Very impressive. And I wasn't completely out of line for thinking that Mazatlan would get knocked out. I mean, they're saying that this is one of the bigger upsets of the tournament that they're moving on. So very, very impressive for them. Moving over to South 2, we've got Orlando in first, Houston second, and Santos Laguna in third. And now I thought that Santos was going to take the top of the group, followed by Orlando, and Houston would get knocked out. That wasn't the case. Orlando has got a date with Messi coming up in the round of 32, so very, very excited about that game. Just got this one wrong, but hey, I got at least one team correct, right? Moving on to the South 3, another group where I got it dead on. Miami comes in first, Cruz Azul in second, Atlanta third. Miami it's Inter Messi at this point, right? Comes on against Cruz Azul late in the game, 94th minute free kick to win the game. Absolutely unreal. Turns it around a few days later, scores 2 goals against Atlanta United. The dude is the greatest of all time for a reason, right? And Cruz Azul is able to sneak away into the group stages here after a penalty shootout win over Atlanta, and Atlanta's defense just let them down. They've got one of the worst track records when it comes to defense, so it just hurt them in the end. Moving on to South 4, we have Charlotte in first, Dallas in second, Necaxa going home. I had Charlotte finishing bottom in this group. They really went for it, and it shows. Dallas, they get to move on, and Necaxa, they score 1 goal, and they don't get any points. They're going to be going home early, a bit disappointed by that. But, hey, there's always next year, right? And finally, over to the east side of things, we've got Philadelphia, Querétaro, and Tijuana in the East 1 group. Philadelphia wins this group quite easily. I had them picked. Querétaro and second, though, I was not expecting. I had Tijuana finishing second. And Querétaro, I've heard both. I'm going to run with the first one because that's what I've been saying the most. I could be wrong, though. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. But, yeah, again, only one correct here. Over to East 2, we had Pumas in first, DC in second, and Montreal third. Now, this, in my predictions video, I got this one bang on. So I'm not really taking much credit here. I really have not done well as far as my predictions. But the East 2 group, I got dead on, so I'm going to take it. I also get the East 3 group dead on. Atlas first, New York City in second, Toronto in third. And pretty much everything I said happened. Toronto stinks. New York City is pretty decent, and Atlas is just a little bit better than New York. So New York put 5 goals up against Toronto. That was insane. Atlas, they put up 4, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I could totally be wrong there. Actually, yeah, they only put up 1 against both New York and Toronto. You can see it right here. I was just blind there. But yeah, solid showing from Atlas in New York over Toronto, moving them on to the knockouts. And the final group stage, or the final group here in the group stage, East 4, New York tops it. New England comes second. San Luis comes third. I had New York coming dead last, New England winning, and San Luis coming second. So hands up on that one again. And, New York Red Bull is able to sneak through. They beat New England on a penalty shootout and then beat San Luis in regulation for the second game of theirs. So they get to move on to the final 32 and get a chance to hoist this league's cup. So after all that, let's move on to the knockout stages and let's see who's going to come out on top. So after all that, out of the 30 teams that could have made it onto the knockout stages, I guessed 20 of those teams correctly. Now, in hindsight, not really all that great. I mean, 2/3 is a pretty good number, but when you consider that 15 of those 30 I would have guaranteed to get anyway, not necessarily the greatest of looks, right? But anyway, we move on to the knockout rounds here, and let's see how this shakes out. We're going to start here on the left side of the bracket. We've got LAFC, team who instantly got to make it to the knockout round because they won MLS Cup last year, taking on FC Juarez. Now, I think LAFC, they're just a solid team right now. They've been on a roll. They got a lot of rest. They're going to move on pretty easily. Next, we've got Leon taking on Real Salt Lake. And they they've played really, really well against Vancouver and who was it? The LA Galaxy. They take this game pretty easily. Sorry, it's like early hours of the morning I'm recording this, so bear with me. I do apologize. Yep. Up next, we've got Tigres taking on Vancouver. Tigres mopped the floor with San Jose and Portland. They're going to win this one very handily. Next, we've got Monterrey and Portland. Same thing. Monterrey was able to dismantle Seattle, and they played really well against Salt Lake as well. I think they take this game as well. Columbus Crew taking on Minnesota. Columbus, they snuck away with the win against St. Louis, but they were playing a rotated side a little bit, and they beat Club America 4-1 in the second game for them. I think they take this one quite comfortably. Up next, we got Toluca taking on Kansas City. Kansas City struggled against Chivas. They were only able to get one goal. I mean, they didn't necessarily look uncomfortable in that win, but then obviously they lost to Cincinnati. Sure, it was in a shootout, but they ended up losing there. Toluca, they absolutely killed Colorado, and they won by a goal against Nashville, but it was 4-3, so a very impressive win. I think Toluca wins that one. Up next, we've got Chicago and Club America. Now, as a St. Louisan, you can't pick Chicago at all, period. And just the way that Club America beat us, that only reinforces it. So I think Club America wins this game pretty easily, too. And finally, we've got Cincinnati against Nashville, the top two teams in the East in MLS right now. They played just a couple weeks ago, and if I remember correctly, it was Cincinnati that won that game, and I believe Nashville went down to 10 men quite early. So this could be a totally different game, but Cincinnati's going to be at home. If them being on the top here is representative of that. So Cincinnati at home, they're going to win this game. They already beat Chivas at home, and yeah, they're going to be able to win that quite comfortably. So this game right here is going to be fun to watch if this happens. Moving on to the other side of the bracket here, we're gonna look at all these and see how it goes. We've got Philadelphia taking on DC. Now, I haven't really picked up any huge upsets yet. I don't really see that. I don't really feel like starting right now. I think Philadelphia is going to win this game over DC in that one, and then we've got a New York derby. We've got Red Bull New York taking on NYC FC. Now, this is a tough one because, you know, anything can happen in a derby match. They really can. So I think I'm going to pick the first sort of maybe upset. Maybe some people wouldn't think this is an upset for any number of reasons, but I think Red Bull is going to take the win here and move on. Up next, we've got Pumas taking on Querétaro or Querétaro. Like I said, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. I'll have to get an official ruling on that. Pumas, they've been really well. They've been very solid in the two games so far in the Leagues Cup. I think they get this win here as well. Then we've got New England taking on Atlas. Now, this one's a bit of a toss-up for me because I think this game's going to be very, very good. It's going to be a very close game. I don't really have a favorite in my eyes in this one. So I think I'm going to go with New England to win this game here and see. Yeah, I think they can do the business over Atlas. After that, we have Mazatlan taking on FC Dallas. Now, Mazatlan was able to win the group. Contrary to popular belief, they were predicted by most to go out in the group stages. I was obviously one of them. And Dallas, they were only able to get second in their group. So my heart wants me to go with Dallas just because I've seen them play more, and mix in with the fact that Mazatlan wasn't supposed to get to this spot in the first place. So that makes me want to pick Dallas, but I'm going to go with Mazatlan. I think the magic continues for just a little bit longer, and they're able to get past Dallas and move on to the round of 16. Up next, we've got Miami taking on Orlando. Big Florida derby here. Messi's first taste of knockout-style tournaments in America. And again, just same with the two New York teams. When it's a derby match, anything can happen. However, Jordi Alba's rumored to be starting in this game, just to add insult to injury to how good their team is right now. Yes, they're dead last in the MLS, but that's surely going to turn around once this competition's over with these new additions. I think Miami wipes the floor with them and they move on. Up next, we've got Cruz Azul taking on Charlotte. Now, for me, I don't think there's going to be much to say here. I think Charlotte, they've just proven everyone wrong so far. I think Cruz Azul is going to give them a solid fight, but I think Charlotte moves on and takes the win here. And finally, in the round of 32, we've got Houston taking on Pachuca. Now, Pachuca, they, similar to LAFC, they didn't have to play in the group stages because they won the Liga MX Clausura, which is the winter/spring season, or is it the Apertura? I apologize. It's one of the two. I believe the Apertura is what they're playing right now in their sort of fall season. So the Clausura is what Pachuca won. So they're here in the knockouts. Again, it's 2 a.m. I'm pushing through and getting this done. Let me know which one it is that they won because, like I said, I know it's one of the two. I just can't remember which one is which. So please let me know in the comments below which one that is. So I haven't seen Pachuca play yet, but they're really good, obviously. So I think they win this game and they move on to the round of 16. So we move on to the round of 16 games here, and we've got a rematch of the CONCACAF Champions League here. Leon taking on LAFC. This is going to be fireworks. This is going to be so much fun to watch. I think revenge is served cold. I think LAFC is going to take this just because in total they're going to have a lot more rest over Leon, and that's going to get them over the finish line for that game. So LAFC moves on to the quarterfinals. Up next, we've got Tigres taking on Monterrey. This is a two heavyweights right here going at it. So this is going to be another really fun game to watch here. This sort of corner up here is got some unreal games going on, especially here in the quarterfinals. Whoever I say plays LAFC, I think I'm going to go with Monterrey here. There's really not much in it based on how well both of these teams played in the group stages. There's not much in it. So it could very easily be Tigres. It could very easily be Monterrey. I'm just going to go with Monterrey here and move on. Here in the bottom corner of the left side, we've got Columbus taking on Toluca. This is a solid game right here. This is another great one that I'm definitely going to be watching. I think I'm going to go with Toluca on this one. I think Columbus, they're just going to run out of steam a little bit, and Toluca is going to move on into the quarterfinals. And here in the bottom corner, we've got the big one, Cincinnati versus Club America. I mean, honestly, looking at the rest of the bracket here for the round of 16 at least, it's either this game or LAFC versus Leon, Tigres, Monterrey maybe. But other than that, easily one of the top 3 games of the round of 16 if this is how it shakes out. Excuse me. So I'm going to go Club America. I think that when they play their full side and their all systems go, they are unstoppable. They're going to move on. Barely. It's going to be a very good game. It's going to be very close. And yeah, they're going to move on to the quarterfinals. Moving back over to the other side of the bracket here, we've got Philadelphia taking on New York Red Bulls. Pretty simple. I think Philadelphia wins this one. They've been on a roll. They've been one of the better teams in MLS, and they won their group quite easily. So I think they roll through DC. I think they roll through Red Bull as well. Then we got Pumas taking on New England. Now this one is another heavyweight battle for sure. But I think Pumas is going to get through. I think they take the victory over New England, and they move on to the quarterfinals. Up next, we've got Mazatlan taking on Miami. Miami, they're going to be one of the favorites to win the whole dang thing, and I'm not really tempted to pick the upset, at least in this one. So Miami's going to get the victory here. Charlotte versus Pachuca. The game's going to be in Charlotte, so they're going to be on turf, so that might play a factor in it a little bit. I know hardly anyone outside of America plays on turf unless it's like non-league and Sunday league football, right? So I think that's going to hurt Pachuca just a little bit, but I think they move through no problem, and they make it to the quarterfinals. All right, just a few more to go here, and first off, we've got LAFC taking on Monterrey, and this, I mean, they're getting difficult now, but obviously for good reason. All of these teams here are solid teams, man. I would argue that any one of these 8 teams could win the whole dang thing. So we're going to go with, I believe this is going to end up with, I think LAFC, they just have the talent. They struggled to start the year in MLS, but they found their feet. It was mostly because of all of the Champions League stuff with CONCACAF there, that I feel like that's how they got to a rough start there. But I think they're going to beat Monterrey and make it to the semifinals. Down here we've got Toluca taking on Club America. This is going to be a solid game to watch, but I think Club America has enough to make it on to the semifinals and guarantee them at least a third-place game. Yeah, I mean, Club America, it could totally be because I went and saw them play in St. Louis, and they just completely wowed me. And maybe I'm putting a little too much stock into that, but, you know, with how much history they have and how good they've been, I can't help but think that they've got a real shot at winning this thing. Other 2 quarterfinal games, we've got Philadelphia taking on Pumas, and I think we're going to have to go with Pumas in this one. They get the job done over Philadelphia. I think they barely beat Philadelphia. Again, all these last games, they're so close. All these teams are so solid. I'm just going to have to go with my gut on some random ones here. I don't really have a whole lot of insight that I could tell you on why I think they're going to win. I think, at this point, it's just good teams going at each other and see who's going to come out on top. And the final match, Miami versus Pachuca. I believe the hype, dude. I think Miami, they're going to go far. They're going to go really far. I think they beat Pachuca. I don't know if I would call that an upset, but maybe if Messi and Busquets and Alba hadn't shown up, then this would be an absolutely huge upset. But because they've got those players, I think that they've got what it takes to beat the defending champions of Liga MX, and they are able to make it to the semifinals, which is LAFC, Club America, Pumas, and Inter Miami. All right, so here are your semifinal matchups if things shake out the way I predict them to. We've got LAFC taking on Club America on one side, and on the other side we have Pumas taking on Inter Miami. So first off, we've got Club America and LAFC. I think this is where LAFC sputter out. I think Club America makes it to the final, and they are going to be one of the first 2 teams to have a crack at winning the league's cup. On the other side, we've got Pumas and Inter Miami. Again, I have to believe it. When the greatest player to ever do it and one of his best supporting members of all the great teams that he's been on go together, I think there's just unstoppable. Add Jordi Alba into all the knockout games here too, on top of the chemistry from all the younger players in Miami that chemistry is just going to get stronger and stronger. I think they're able to make it to the finals, which leaves LAFC and Pumas for the third place game. Now this game is important because whichever team wins this game gets a CONCACAF Champions Cup. They've rebranded to the Champions Cup for next season. So this is a very big game. So LAFC, they're going to have something to fight for here. They, didn't make it because Leon obviously won in the final Champions League, so LAFC missed out on that automatic spot. So both of these teams are going to heavily go for it, even though it's a third place game. There's still a lot of prize money on the line as well, so this is going to be a tough game as well. I think Pumas is going to go on and win it though, and LAFC, they're based on their projections in MLS, I think they're going to be just fine and end up finding some international football anyway. But enough of the third place game. We've got the big one here, Club America and Inter Miami. Definitely as of recording this now, the two most popular teams in North America. It's obviously been Club America forever. Miami overnight are instantly challenging that title for the most popular. I mean, the team's Instagram has more followers for them than every other MLS team combined. So, I mean, they are definitely up right now. Inter Miami is going to be the biggest team in America for at least the next 2.5 years, however long Messi is sticking around, right? So this is a huge game. The ticket prices for this is just going to be nuts. I don't even want to think about how much money these tickets are going to be to go see this game. But I have to pick a winner, and I've been stalling for too long. And screw it, man. We're gonna go Miami. I think Miami is going to win this game, and they're going to be the first ever Leagues Cup champions, getting that insane prize pool money, getting that Champions Cup spot, getting the first ever Leagues Cup. Again, until I'm proven wrong, then Miami's just the real deal. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. I don't see this being any form of blowout at all. I think Club America is going to really push the envelope and go for this as well. So they're going to fall just short, and Inter Miami is going to be the first ever Leagues Cup champion. So those are my predictions for the knockout stages here, the Leagues Cup for 2023. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Obviously, what I got wrong, what I'm going to get wrong. Let me know about all of that. I love to hear you guys' input. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you're still watching, again, I greatly appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button on the video. If you could, I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Share it to all your friends. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.